every Monday at noon on SEMO ESPN 1220 and at 93.5 FM. Also at SEMOESPN.com and the SEMO ESPN app. Plus also watch the Red Hawks Coaches Show webcast live at SEMOESPN.com. Now,
somebody go live.
Execute. Let's go live to Wings Etc. for the Red Hawks Coaches Show.
Welcome in to the Red Hawks Coaches Show. We are approaching football season, which will be on Thursday night at Hawks Stadium. And we're going to be talking football with the Red Hawks head football coach, Tom Matukowicz. And we'll get you ready for the season opener, not only the season opener, but for the entire season. And the Red Hawks waste no time, and they will be in a major gauntlet just to start the season, just because of the way that the schedule takes place for the Red Hawks. They've got nationally ranked teams the first 2 weeks, and then, of course, they will play the University of Missouri up in Columbia. Let's welcome in Coach Tom Matukowicz, who is in year number 8. Does it seem like it's 8 years already?
It does not. My body maybe feels like it, but hard to believe. I got a high schooler, so this is a big year for me. We got our oldest going to high school, and like I tell people, I feel like 8 years is kind of my year. My wife and I were married 8 years before she liked me enough to have a baby with me. So I feel like this is it. This is my year.
There was a long starter. There was a long feeling out process there.
Yeah. She always had one eye on me, kind of squinty a little bit. So I'm thinking year number 8's my year.
All right, well, my youngest daughter now is 18 years old. It is absolutely unbelievable. It seems like just the other day, we're riding the tricycle out in the front yard.
It's crazy. They grow quick.
All right, your football team getting set for SIU Carbondale on Thursday. I would guess that the question you get the most, not that this year would be any different, but maybe this year, because there was a pretty good battle to see who the starting quarterback is going to be, but you've probably answered more questions about the quarterback than any other question. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something everybody wants to know, and but it's the question that the coaches want to know. We're still wondering what we really have. Our job is to recruit and have a bunch of talent in that room and let the best people that show up and do the best job gets the job. But I just feel like, especially with quarterbacks, man, until you get out there and they get hit and, things are flying around, you really don't know what you have. So it's going to be fun. I mean, that's what we think. We got some pretty good ones, and so let's find out. I mean, that's why you play the game, People talk about all these things, but there's just so many variables that you really don't know. It's just wait until game before everything starts to show itself.
How much of a jump is it from junior college at the level that C.J. Agbana, who you've announced is your starting quarterback, how big of a jump is it from that level of junior college, because he did win a national championship, to FCS football?
I think player-wise, it's not that big a jump. I mean, there's a lot. I think they had 12 players sign FBS on their own team. So they're obviously playing other players that have FBS talent.
So he's going up against talent every day in practice.
I think what's hard about quarterback, though, is just getting comfortable with the system. Like, he got here in July.
That's late.
And all of our quarterbacks, like the hardest part about this whole 18 months is missing 2 spring balls. Like, quarterbacks get better by playing and reps and all that, and we just miss so much development time with them. And so that's the question mark, just how quickly he's going to pick up the system and be able to play fast. If he's out there thinking through a lot, that's not good. You want him out there just reacting, but we'll see.
When did he appear on your radar?
During the spring season. We're kind of feeling out how everything was going, and then once bunch decided to retire, that was definitely the time we wanted to take another one. And then we started recruiting them and ended up working out. Matt Martin is our junior college coach and did a really nice job, and so did Jeremy.
So how quickly did the owner of Wings Etc., Joe Hobbs, race to you and explain to you that C.J. Agbana went to Joe Hobbs High School?
I'd say fairly quick, yeah. That was it. It's just crazy how life works, but that's what makes athletics so awesome is, be able to connect the dots like that with Joe. And I know they got to have lunch, and that's pretty cool, right? Because they get to talk about their high school days and all those things. And very thankful for all of our supporters and the interactions that they have with our players. I know we have a kid that London Emmanuel. He worked out at a country club, and I mean, you'd have thought he's running for the mayor race this year. This guy would talk to anybody and everybody, and I get all kinds of text messages about that. But that's good. I'm glad that a lot of our fan base get to know our players.
So C.J. Agbana went to Hutchinson Community College. Tell a little bit about his backstory and then his story on the field, because I know he was the starting quarterback before an injury set in, and so it didn't look like he was going to even get to play in the national championship game, and here he comes off the bench and leads them to a national title.
Well, he comes from Georgia. He's got a very athletic family. He's got two brothers that signed and play FBS football. Went to Hutch. He redshirted his first year, played this year, which was a COVID year, so it doesn't count. And so he still has 4 years and was their starter, and they went undefeated. He ended up rolling an ankle. They went with the backup, and he kind of played well. And so they were just going to stay with the guy that kind of got him to the national championship. And then they struggled on offense. And then the second half, they brought CJ in, and I don't know how far down, but, led him to a national championship, come back, win, right? That says a lot. But, he's a pretty calm, cool guy. Like, he's way different than me. I'm stressed out, look like, crazy guy, but he's just pretty low key, which is nice. If you got the football, you don't want a guy that hitting a panic button all the time. And so really like what we're seeing so far.
I've heard you over the years describe guys like that as low heartbeat guys, low heart rate guys, right?
Yep. Very hard to rattle. He'll probably live to be 95, because he doesn't get too excited about much. But just ready to play, ready to go see what he and his teammates can do.
You and I were talking about the omnipresence now of the transfer portal. And if guys don't get their playing time, it's not like the old days. They're out. I mean, they want to get out quickly. So who knows what kind of attention to detail you're getting in practice if a guy is knowing that he's not going to play. What does it say about CJ that he had the attention to detail, even though he was not playing, and ended up coming off the bench and was ready there for his chance and took every advantage of it?
Yeah, he's a very, very humble man. His mama is, a stone cold killer. I need to get some notes from her because she's raised a good son, and he realized this isn't about him, and it's about his teammates, and so very thankful he's on our team.
All right, he was in a battle for the quarterback position, namely Christian Perez. Was certainly one of those guys that was in it. The transfer from the University of Louisville out of East St. Louis. Oh, by the way, East St. Louis's last quarterback is going to be a freshman at Mizzou. I mean, they've really got a great program there at East St. Louis. I think they just beat CBC. They have Luther Burden Jr. now at East St. Louis in a really good game on Friday night. Talk a little bit about the quarterback battle and how you came to the decision that C.J. Agbana was your guy.
Well, it's still a little fluid. He's our guy as long as things are going well. This isn't, intramurals. Like, you got to perform well and stuff like that. So I think Christian's preparing like he's going to play and needs to and has earned the right to that his coaches and players believe that if he comes in, that he'll do a good job. And so it been pretty back and forthy. Christian Perez was coming off a surgery, so he missed all of spring, and so he was also trying to get healthy through the summer.
Talk about the styles of the two quarterbacks. Are they very similar? I know that both are mobile quarterbacks. Talk about the style of quarterback that we're going to see versus what we did see out of Andrew Bunch, Daniel Santa Catarina, your previous quarterbacks.
Well, I mean, again, we got to wait to see them to play. Like, these are all just, hey, we think.
Sure.
But skill set wise, both are very similar because we are going to recruit mobile, athletic guys, that can run the ball and throw it, and sometimes just get out of the way, extend plays, all those type of things. Both of them are very similar.
How about arm strength with the two quarterbacks?
Both are good. Both are. That's not a concern. They both can put the ball out there, field outs, or those type of things. So they're, like I said, they're just talented, but arm strength and athleticism doesn't make a good quarterback. I mean, there's 100,000
Sure.
of people have a strong arm and are athletic, but who can extend drives, complete balls, not turn it over, all those type of things are kind of what we're just waiting for it to show itself. And we need to be patient with them too, because obviously they're going to have issues, and that's why offensively we got a lot of great players. We need to make sure these proven great players get a chance to help us win a football game, make sure they get the ball.
With Hutchinson Community College's offense, compare and contrast that to what CJ is seeing under Jeremy McDowell.
Pretty similar.
Is that seems like that would be very helpful for him in learning a new system if it's similar?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just the terminology and all those type of things, and the speed of the game's a hair quicker, and so all the reads and all those type of things. But yeah, there's a lot of carryover between the two.
All right, it all boils down on offense to how's that offensive line, and I'm sure that's the question coming. How's the offensive line looking?
Yeah, I mean, that's we feel good about it. We got 4 of the 5 starters back. Our 5th guy did start a couple games, and so we got a lot of experience, but so do a lot of people. This has been a 2-year project. We've really tried to get better in the O-line. Anytime we've played out of conference or in the top 25, it's kind of exposed the lines. And so we've really tried to do a better job of recruiting and development. And so, it feels like we're getting there. My hopes that we have one of the top offensive line units in the OVC. My eyes see that. They got to prove it. And, SIU is a top 10 team. So, hold judgment till the league play, but certainly in the OVC, I'll be really disappointed if we don't have one of the better O-lines.
Well, you look at the Missouri Valley Football Conference, there's always a debate about what's the best conference in FCS, but they're right there. If they're not the best, they're right near the best 5 teams, at least in the preseason, top 25 poll. That's kind of the way it goes in the Missouri Valley, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you earn your respect, right? All the preseason rankings are based off what you did last year, and they earned that. All 5 teams had great seasons, and they earned the right to be in there.
All right. SIU and the Redhawks, it'll be 6:30 at Houck Stadium. How do you like the way the schedule sets up? I know in terms of level of difficulty, obviously starting right into the fire, 7th-ranked team in the country, number 1 team in the country, and then a money game at Mizzou.
Well, I don't have any control over my schedule, and so I don't think about it because it doesn't matter. I get a sheet of paper, and that's what I'm playing, and my job's to prepare my team. And we've had a pretty physical and I'd say violent fall camp, and we've practiced in the heat because guess what? Sam Houston's going to be freaking hot.
Yep.
And so, my job is to prepare my team, and I always try to tell them I'm trying to make it harder on you during the week than the game days. And fortunately, we've been able to stay healthy, even though we've gotten it on pretty good here. Kids have been able to stay healthy.
How weird is it to look at a schedule and see that you play conference opponents twice in one season? How strange is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's right along with COVID and everything else. We're in a freaking the twilight zone as far as United States and football and the OVC. I don't know. Like, I got major concerns about what that looks like in 2 or 3 years, and we still don't have any guidance about what it's going to look like in the future. And I know we're trying to get next year's schedule done, but again, if I worry about that and think about that, I ain't going to live very long. So, I'm going to let the administrator do their jobs, and I'm going to just try to coach my football team.
And of course, you couldn't get Eastern Illinois or Tennessee State twice. You got to get the reigning champions, Murray State, twice. Lucky you.
I know, but that's why we got to flip it. That's why I try to get our players to understand, like, how do you get something better? You make it, you break it, find out what broke, and fix it. Version 2.0 is always better than 1.0, right?
Yep.
Like, all of these are good things. Like, if you want to beat Tennessee State when we start OVC play, you want to find out who you are, get better, find out who you are, get better, find out who you are, get better, and then OVC play, let's go. Like, you want to be all tested. The concern is when it's that level of talent, certainly Mizzou is just the physicality. We are thin. We're thin on defense for sure. So if we do lose some guys, we could get pretty average pretty quick. But, this is a good thing. Like, let's go play. Like, why not? Like, what's the worst thing that happened to us? We lose a game? Hell, I've lost a bunch here.
You've won a bunch, too.
Yeah. Well, winning's
36 of them.
A lot more fun. So let's try to win. And certainly this is about the conference,
And the 36 wins for Coach Tuke, number one all time since SEMO has moved to Division I, and a couple of those top 10 victories as well. So it's nothing new for you to play top 25 schools. We just go look at the Brickyard to find out how many times you do play top 25 schools and beat top 25s.
Heck yeah, man. This is what it's about at home on Thursday night. Like, let's go. Your opponent's ranked. They think they're pretty good for sure, right? I'm going to ask the team if we want to play, because everything I read, it's like they're unbeatable. So I'll see if they even want to play the game, because, I mean, you listen to people in your profession, and they're going to, not even be tested.
So you look at the amount of players that you've got coming back. I mean, we just look at SIU. 10 starters on offense, 10 starters on defense, and their kicker and punter. So they got 22 guys back. COVID has a lot to do with that because of eligibility. Yeah. I think they have 16 sixth-year seniors, which is unheard of. But you're in a similar situation where you've got a lot of guys back and maybe guys that weren't scheduled to be back. Yeah,
we have 4. And so, like I said, it's just kind of crazy. But they are definitely a veteran team with lots of depth. That's an advantage. That's why they're preseason ranked to where they're at, and certainly probably a playoff team. And so if we want to make the playoffs, this is the type of team that we got to compete with.
How much of a luxury is it that you've got starters back at running back? Because obviously you are going to run the ball. Anybody that has seen a Coach Tuke offense, you want to establish the run. You've been good at it the last several years, and you've got 2 guys with 3 years of Division I experience. Now, Geno, 4 games in his freshman year, and he got that year back as a redshirt, but with Geno Hess and Zion Custis.
Yeah, no, I think we're good. I mean, I couldn't imagine having much better running backs. I mean, they're both really good, and you got 2 of them. They're maturing, and their skill development when they don't have the ball is getting better, which is huge. And so I think they're going to be. 2 of the top backs in the country. Be surprised if we're not. Talent level, it all feels that way.
For those who don't know, Geno Hess led the nation in rushing touchdowns last year. That's got to feel good to know when you get around the goal line, you've got a guy that has a nose for the end zone.
Yeah, he's a strong runner, breaks a lot of tackles. He's thick, even though he's not very tall. He's hard to wrap up because he's pretty thick. And, of course, that's also a statement about our O-line and tight ends blocking for him, too.
So the Red Hawks, 6:30 on Thursday. We're going to take a timeout, but we want to remind you that they've got a lot more than just wings at Wings Etc. If you have not checked out their brand new burger menu, you really need to do it. They have got some terrific burgers there. They also have wraps, subs, quesadillas, entree salads, smoked ribs, and much more. You can check out their appetizer lineup, and the ultimate nachos, certainly near the top of the list. Their deep-fried pickle chips, mushrooms, cheese curds, you name it, they've got it here at Wings, etc. And, of course, all of the televisions with all the latest sports programming. If you want to watch the NFL and college football upcoming seasons, you can do it all right here at Wings, etc. Coach Duke and I will take a quick timeout, continue to preview the Red Hawks 2021 season and their matchup with 7th-ranked SIU coming up on Thursday night. You're listening to the Red Hawks Coaches Show from Wings, etc. on SEMO ESPN. From Wings, etc. in Cape Girardeau, just a programming note, we will be right back here in the Cape location next week after the Red Hawks and the Salukis go at it Thursday night at Hawk Stadium. Want to remind you, did you know that Wings, etc. has over 70 different items that are not wings on their menu? We talked about the new burger lineup and their wraps and salads. Also, did you know you can order online Wings Etc.? You can have Wings Etc. delivered to your front door using DoorDash. So it is very convenient to partake of the outstanding food here at Wings Etc. You can order online, you can call ahead, and again, you can have it delivered by the use of DoorDash, and that's very easy. You create an account, download the DoorDash app, and you can have Wings Etc. at your door within minutes. Might want to try it today. Coach Tom Matukowicz is here as the Red Hawks get ready for SIU Carbondale. And we always have to use the term Carbondale. I know they don't say it for themselves, Coach, and SIUE does not play football in our conference, but they're a member of the OVC, so there is a difference between these two schools.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm so thankful for this rivalry. I think both schools love it. It's natural. It's something we should play every year. Both communities get involved with it, and it's gotten a lot more competitive lately. And adding a trophy game, I think, was really important to that also. And so our kids are just super excited about the opportunity to play.
Well, for a few years there, in fact, I think it was after you left SIU, they stopped playing each other in football, and it was kind of on SIU's side, and there's no reason that they should not be playing football, but there were a few years there where SIU was not playing Southeast Missouri State. Are you getting good feedback on that side? I know Nick Hill is a friend of yours, and you certainly know him going back to his playing days when he was the quarterback for SIU. But do you have good vibes on that side that this is going to continue to be a rivalry?
For sure. I think both sides feel the same way about the game. It just makes sense.
And they play in every other sport, so it was weird that they weren't playing in football, and they've gone years without playing in basketball, which really doesn't make too much sense. Women's basketball, they've always played. Baseball, they always play. But for a while, men's basketball and football, it was kind of an odd scenario. Nick Hill, you probably, I know you probably were feeling good for him and the success that they had last year, because I know 2 years ago when you went to the playoffs, a lot of people felt, obviously he did, that they should have been a playoff team and they missed out.
Yeah, no, it was great for him and his coaches and team, and had a great year, man. They were able to win a lot of close games. Even our game was a last-second field goal, and they were able to win a lot of those close games, and that's what good teams do, and it says a lot about their culture and about their coaching. So I know he got an extension, and it's the human being part of this is you're glad. Like, you're glad, Nick, you always pull for a good guy like Nick Hill.
This is their highest preseason ranking since 2010. Oh, by the way, 2010 was the year SEMO went over there and beat them when they were ranked in the top 5 and then won the OVC championship. So this is one of the best teams that they've had in quite a long time. I know you weren't there for the 2010 game. You had already left SIU, but so that's kind of the way they feel about their program going into the season. They had a big battle at quarterback. Stone Labanowitz, the guy that led them to the quarterfinals last year in the playoffs, was beaten out by Nick Baker, who was the starter at the start of last year before getting injured, and Labanowitz took over for him. So Baker will be the starting quarterback. I read on social media Labanowitz ended up leaving SIU after he did not win the starting job, so he's going to transfer somewhere. What can you tell us? What can you tell us about Nick Baker?
Well, first, I think this is the best SIU team I've played. I mean, for 7 years, this would be by far the best team. So there's that. I think, Nick Baker was not the starter. We played the other guy. The other guy started the season, then had a injury.
That was it.
And then Baker came in, but Stonowitz started for him in 19. So that's who played. We played against him in 19, and then we haven't seen Baker. And so there's I don't know, 2.5 games on Baker, and so we have a decent idea of who he is and what he's about.
Now, how much do you go back and watch last year's game in terms of prepping for this game, because they have so many guys back and the same defensive coordinator, Petrino? So, I mean, how much?
Yeah, watch them all.
Yeah.
That's all we've been doing. You just got to be careful hanging your hat on all that, because they cannot do that, right? We're not in their huddle. We're not in their practice. We don't know what they're doing.
Sure.
But certainly from a personnel standpoint, like that's what we've scouted and drawn up and got scouting reports on all their players and schemes and going off last year's season. But I think it's important whoever can adapt and adjust the quickest, because there's going to be problems on both sides, and whatever happens up, and whoever can adapt and adjust the quickest probably has a better chance to win the game.
You know, early in the season, they did not stop the run very well. In fact, the final numbers, I think teams ran for an average of over 200 yards per game on them, but in 4 of the last 5 games, they really got better against the run. What did you see on defense as the season went along? They got better against the run.
Yeah, for sure. And they were playing, great teams. Yeah. They were playing great rushing teams, and so that's a little bit skewed. And I think just like anything, they kept coaching them, those players kept getting better, and all of them are back, so it's going to be pretty tough. Doesn't matter, though. We still got to try to run it. That's the key to victory for us.
All right. You mentioned a little earlier you felt like maybe you don't have the depth on the defensive line that you've had in the past. That's been one of the strengths of your last several teams, both playoff teams, the OVC championship team. Man, you're running 3 new guys out there all the time, rotating linemen. It seems like you're saying maybe we don't have that kind of depth this year.
Yeah, depth at DB and D-line's an issue. Had lots of guys decide not to, play this year or to hit the portal and transfer. And so we're pretty thin. Still pretty talented. I think if you look at our starters, I think they can start about anywhere in the country at FCS. So I think we have some good players, but we just got to keep them healthy and got to get them in shape, because they're probably going to take more snaps than what it's normally been around here.
All-conference player, defensive end Bryson Donnell. Does he anchor things for you on that line?
Yeah, he's a tremendous player, dominant at the point of attack. So he's definitely there. Saki is a kid that played a little bit last year, but has continued to improve. He's going to be our nose guard, and I think he's had a really good fall camp. Stephen Lewis is probably the next Bryson, where he's an all-conference type guy. Played as a true freshman last year, without a summer, without all that, and so I think he's got a chance to be an all-conference type player.
Now, nose guards usually don't sack the quarterback very much. They do once in a while, but that's usually not the forte of a nose guard. But James Saki, what a good name to have. If you can get to the quarterback, maybe we get a name, image, likeness thing going with Saki for every sack that he gets, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, but he does a good job, especially in our 3-4 defense. We need those big guys up inside to be those run stoppers.
What do you think is the benefit of being a 3-4 defense, which you are, versus a 4-3?
Well, first of all, very similar. A lot goes to the recruiting model. So what do you feel like you can recruit to? Here I just felt like we could recruit linebackers easier than DNs, and so that's why we did it.
You've been very good at recruiting linebackers, including National Player of the Year. How much does that help you on the recruiting trail when you let these recruits know, look at the kind of linebackers that have played at this institution?
Yeah, for sure. And then when you show them schematically how we're going to put them in a position to make plays, it's been good. No, it's recruited itself a little bit.
So I mentioned the name, image, likeness thing. How much, in your opinion, is that going to change college football? And then at your level, how much do you think you're going to see some name, image, likeness stuff?
Well, I think nationally it's completely going to change it. And what's going to change is the lawyers. So right now it's this, but what's going to happen in a year? They're going to lawsuits open it up. And then pretty soon this is going to get into recruiting, where to sign a guy, I'm going to have to get a deal with Wings, et cetera, to be able to sign a guy. I mean, so that's where I'm not doing that. Like if I'm not good enough to coach it just how I've been coaching it, then I'll do something else. Hell, I'll go fry tater tots for Joe before I do that. But I hope it stays out of recruiting. That's
I hear you're pretty good on the grill, though.
No, I'm phenomenal.
Okay,
I'm best in Cape.
Yeah.
The thing that and don't misinterpret this, like I'm for a side hustle. Like that's how life works. Like if our players could get a side hustle and they can make some money off a side hustle like that, good for you. So I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying that guys can't earn some money, because I think that's what makes America great. It's just I don't want to get into where we're having to do all this in recruiting just to sign a guy. That's not good for him. That's not good for us. It's not good for the sport.
So you've made your thoughts on it pretty clear. Do you see it at Southeast? Are you starting to see some openings for some of your athletes to maybe get involved in it a little bit?
I don't know. I mean, I think kids think they're amazing. They think Amazon's calling me and going to offer me a deal because they're young and dumb, just like I was. So I think it's still early. I know Joe's done some stuff with basketball, and we got somebody else with soccer. So I don't know. We'll see. If there's a way to help that, then I'd love to be able to do that in any way possible.
You've got some recognizable names back at linebacker coach, including Mardrick Douglas, who has certainly been an impact player at that position for you.
Yeah, and just so happy for him. Both him and Z are going to earn their masters this December, and so they got 2 degrees, they got championships, and there's Shabari Davis, same way. He's going to have his master's degree.
It seems like Shabari Davis has been here for 8 years.
Yes, and so that's the best part, man. I get one more season with some of these guys that I can't wait to watch play, and we've literally watched them grow up into men, and it's just the fun part about my job.
I know you probably want Shabari Davis to concentrate on his jobs in the defensive secondary. Might we see him returning some kicks or punts this year, because he's one exciting cat?
No, we're for sure doing that and counting on him being able to help us win games at returner for sure. He's electric. Last year, we had some stupid penalties where he'd had a couple touchdowns too. So he's dynamic with the ball in his hand, and we just got to make sure we get those other 10 ready to go because he could help us win a game.
Now, when you reference Z, for those who are around the program, know you're referring to Zack Smith, who really had a breakout year last season, Coach. We always knew that he could run, good hands, impact guy on special teams, but he really made a name for himself last season.
Yeah, man, he put a lot of work in, and got to give credit for Coach McDowell and the offense and those other guys being able to get him the ball quite a bit, but really look for him to, continue where he left off.
I know he did a lot of off-season work with Andrew Bunch, and he talked about it on this show about, developing chemistry with the quarterback. Now he's got a new quarterback. How much of a work in progress is that, especially with a guy who just got here in July?
Yeah, no, it's not an ideal situation, and so we have to work through that.
And he's going to be an impact guy. I mean, I don't think there's any question about it. And then Aaron Alston, Coach, battled injuries a little bit last year, but we know the kind of talent that he has, the touchdown he scored at Jacksonville State to put the Gamecocks away down there.
No, I think he was disappointed in the season he had, and so he's really had a great offseason and really determined. His weight is good, and he's another guy that plays on a lot of special teams. He could block a punt, all those type of things. So we're going to definitely make sure he's in a position to help this football team. But he's had a great fall camp.
He's been one of those guys. He's got that thin body type, but as I look at the roster, he's listed at 6'4", 185. You saying that he's got some muscle?
And he's a dog. Like, he's going to come get him some. Like, he has no problem mixing up with anybody and everybody. So he breaks tackles. Like, he's not a thin guy, like, not at all. very strong at reception point, can break tackles. Like he's a complete guy.
And a guy that started to make a name for himself last year was Johnny King, Coach. Another one. Now, Zack Smith is not the big receiver, but Johnny King 6'4", Alston 6'4". I know you like those big guys, and King is a big guy.
Yeah, and, he was a guy that really needed the offseason. I think Coach Knapp and his work ethic has really helped him be a better player, Johnny's work ethic. And so he seems a step faster and has had some great just one-handed type catches this fall camp. And so I'm happy for him, and I can't wait to watch him play.
A guy that we love to watch play at the wide receiver position is Christian Wilkerson. He is still in camp with the New England Patriots. He led them in one game with 6 receptions. I think he caught 4 balls in the last game. I mean, he's on the verge of making that football team, isn't he?
No, I know it. We're pulling for him, and obviously Drew Ford's is kind of the same way. And who else we got in there?
Mike Ford, I know.
Ford. I think he might be a little more locked for the roster spot. He's kind of more of a veteran now.
I think he got cut.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, well, that means he's still got plenty of film out there for other teams. I mean, just because one team goes in one direction doesn't mean that there are going to be people out scouting that waiver wire.
Yeah, for sure. No, we're pulling for them. It's great to have Redhawks representing in the NFL.
And Christian Wilkerson, when it comes to work ethic for wide receivers in your 8 seasons, anybody outwork Christian Wilkerson?
I don't know. I don't like comparing people.
Sure.
That's like asking me, hey, who's better looking, Georgia or Shelby, my daughters? So everybody's just different. I know you like comparing people because that's your job, but I try to stay out of that.
All right, so talk about some depth that you've got here. Terrell Jester is listed on the 2 deep at wide receiver. Wesley Roberts, the 4th, a sophomore out of Florida. And then also Rashawn Palmer, who we saw make some plays for you last year.
No, I think we're as deep as we've been there. So several of those guys got to play in the spring and did a nice job and have continued on to have a good fall camp. So, I think if they get their opportunity, it's going to be nice. And certainly, the future looks really bright there.
People see the receivers making the catches and run after catch or makes a great catch or picks up a first down with a reception. But you can't get on the field for Coach Tom Matukowicz unless you are a good blocker at the wide receiver position. It's great that you can catch footballs. You got to block for your team.
Yeah, exactly. You catching a ball, that's why we gave you money. In fact, you were coming out of the womb with that ability. You're being a tough guy and going up and blocking people's where it's at. And I think Coach Drudick has just done a tremendous job with his guys. And I think Coach McDowell, that identity of we going to have a tough football team, even at skill players.
You are looking pretty smart with that hire of Jeremy McDowell. The offense has really been ranked very much more highly in the Ohio Valley Conference since he came onto the scene.
No, we're very thankful of him and the whole profile, and he's done a good job. And it's one of the reasons that I felt comfortable with going to defense. I haven't basically watched anything. Jeremy's and I have always met in the past. I watched all their film, gave my input through the week, not on game days, but through the week. Well, now I'm not giving him anything. He literally has that side, his coaches has that side, and I'm not really involved much at all on offense. And if I didn't feel good with all those guys' ability to do their job, then I probably wouldn't have done it. So that's one of the reasons it felt comfortable being over on the defense.
Your longtime defensive coordinator, Bryce Saya, decided to step away from the sport, and I know you guys have been together for a long, long time, even before you came to Southeast Missouri State. Talk about what that means for the program and then the added role that you have taken on, which you just alluded to.
Yeah, and just anytime you're going to lose coaches, but it's just the timing is what, led me to step up in that role. A normal progression, you lose somebody, you hire them, they go through spring ball, you figure out what was good, what was bad, and you kind of get it going through summer and fall ball. But because we missed all that, I felt like it would be unfair to hire a coordinator and then, he not having any springtime to get his system in, or that was unfair to our players. And so just felt like I could step in the gap and try to hold things together for a year. I don't know what it'll look like. Some days, man, I've having the time of my life. Then other days I'm like, just completely stressed out because you got your normal head coach stress, and then now all of a sudden you got the stress of trying to defend somebody, and I can't just focus on defending somebody through the whole game. I got to bounce back and forth and stuff. So just a little more stress. So I just got to make sure, we find a way to be successful at the end of the day. That's what matters, and there's lots of ways to be successful. And so I feel great about my defensive staff, and I think that to me is going to be the difference.
Talk about how different it is to be down on the field as the defensive coordinator, because anybody that was at a SEMO game knows Coach Saya was up in the press box. I mean, he's got the view from up here. Now you're the defensive coordinator, and you're right there on the sideline.
Yeah, I've called it from both. So I've been a D coordinator. I've done it from both, and so I got some reps at it. One of the things that you got to watch is being emotionally too involved. When you're in a box, you're not emotionally involved. On the sideline, all of a sudden you got all this, and it's fourth down. Oh, yeah, you get caught up in the moment, and you make an emotional decision, right? When emotion's high, where's clarity? Low. And so I got to really check myself and make sure that I have a really, low key, just, in my mindset's got to make sure it's more mentally than emotion.
And don't think defensive coordinators aren't emotionally involved, too, because I've seen Coach Sy. I'm up in the press box, and their box is almost always next to mine. So Coach Sy gets emotional, believe me.
Right.
But you're talking about just checking those emotions. And how much of an advantage is it for you that you have done both, sideline and been up in the box? Is that an advantage?
Yeah, well, I think I got experience, but experience doesn't make it happen. I don't have any experience being a head coach and D coordinator. Yeah. So there's just some news. It's kind of like the quarterback. You don't know what it's going to look like. I'm going to get out there, and I don't know what it's going to look like. Hopefully, it if I'm not very good, I hate to fire myself. So at the end of the day, we gotta put a good product out there. Our kids deserve a good defensive coordinator, and I'm trying to give it to them.
All right, at the back end of your defense, and we can officially say that it's your defense, you've got some new names, you've got some returners, but of course the guy who highlights everything is Shabari Davis. Heck of a player.
Well, it's not my defense. I'm not going to make any play. It's our defense.
Okay.
And so make sure our coaches and players, like this isn't a Tuke defense. This is an R. Everybody in our program's DNA is woven into this defense. And so just to clarify that. What was the question after that?
Shabari Davis, the guy who's certainly most recognizable back there.
Well, I think Shabari and Lawrence. So Lawrence Johnson and Shabari Davis are definitely our veterans. But I also think all league, all conference type defenders and can make a lot of plays. Shabari had a huge pick against SIU opening snap. And then Lawrence Johnson also had a pick in that game. And so they're very, they got a lot of reps. They're two of our best players, and they got to continue to play like that.
And then we mentioned Shabari at one corner. Ty Leonard Junior from Louisville, Kentucky, listed as the starter at the other corner.
Yeah, so he's been around here for a while, and the transfers have really helped him. Now he's getting a great opportunity to play, and he's done a good job. Like, he's earned that role, and looking forward to him play. Trey Hodges is a guy that's played quite a bit, but he'll be in a much bigger role at safety, and so those two guys, I'm excited to see.
How big of a change is that for a guy to be a cornerback and now he's going to be a safety?
It's not as big as it used to be back in the day. They were really two different type of positions. Where now a DB's a DB. Same thing that makes you good at corner is going to make you good at safety. And so he's really smart. And you can even see him line up at corner if we have some injuries and stuff. So he's done a nice job.
You have taken a lot of pride in almost everything, but really on special teams. You've had some really impact players on special teams since you have been here. Kenny Doak listed as your starting kicker for game number 1 against SIU, and your starting punter is Zach Haynes, who we certainly recognize. Talk about your kicking game.
Well, Kenny Doak is no longer our starter.
Okay, he's not the starter then.
He got mono, which I guess when you get mono, you got an enlarged spleen. And so evidently getting hit in the ribs with an enlarged spleen is a bad deal.
Really?
So he's going to have to miss the game. I hate it for him. I think if he continues to be okay, they're going to let him kick for Sam Houston. So we're having some kicking competitions between the rest of the guys, and we'll see what that looks like.
Boy, that's news you did not want to hear.
I mean, it's crazy train just like anything. That's just the world nowadays. I mean, I could get the office and someone hit the portal and just leave. Someone gets sick, someone get COVID. I mean, that's just the way it is. But you hate it because, he wants to kick, right? Sure. I mean, that's devastating to him, and so I hate it for him. But the good thing is I don't think he's going to have to miss more than that. You hear about guys getting mono probably more so in high school, guys and gals. You ever get mono? I don't think I have.
Okay.
I grew a tonsil back.
No.
So I had my tonsils out twice.
Never heard of that.
Best barbecuer in town, and I grew my tonsils back.
Well, you have a freakish.
I tell my wife that all the time. Genetically, there's something there.
So I got my tonsils out right before I got out of the Navy. I knew the Navy would pay for it, and I've always had tonsillitis every year, and so finally
I had it as a kid. But.
So the punting game, Zach Haynes, we certainly know how good Zach is.
Yep, and he's done a great job, and will continue to compete and get after it. And I think he downed a punt inside the 2 against SIU last year as his first game starter, and he had a great spring, and we need him to again affect the game.
How about the tight end position, Coach? Will Wiedemann, and Caleb Strauss. So we certainly recognize those names. So you've got a lot of snaps at that position.
Yeah, for sure. And I think both Caleb and Will has had good off seasons. I think Will is a guy that could be an all-conference type player. I mean, he's done a nice job versus us. I've noticed him. He's blocked Bryson Donnell and a lot of those type of defenders, and made some plays in the passing game. And so I certainly hope for him that he has just an all-conference type year.
I know it depends on the way the game is materializing and what the defense is giving you and what they're not giving you, but you don't throw to the tight end a whole lot in your offense. Are these guys that you think can be involved in the passing game?
Yeah, for sure. They're both very good at it. Like you said, it kind of depends on what we're seeing and things like that. But they're a weapon in the passing game. It's just sometimes it's hard to get to them.
All right, we're told that there will be an Air Force B-2 from Whiteman Air Force Base that will be doing a flyby for the opening ceremonies for the national anthem on Thursday. How cool is that? When did you hear that they had lined that up?
I think about a month ago, or maybe a couple of weeks ago. But I was happy for that, and this is a big game. It needs to look like a big game. We need people to show up like this. We've had a year of not normal football. There's no you could come and be a part of this game, and we need the students to show up. We need fans to show up. This is a big one. I'm a lot more worried about just making it through Lock and Rock. That's like my biggest concern is I don't go down on the opening when we enter the game.
So last year, unfortunately, the Lock and Rock, the kids could not be down on the field because of COVID. Are things different this year, and how much different is it for the team with travel and the restrictions and everything? Is it back to normal? Is it semi back to normal? What is it?
Oh man, that's a great question. I don't know what you call it. The protocols are, hard, and we've had a whole position quarantined twice. And so the quarantine's worse because we used to be able to mask and avoid quarantine. Now the only way to avoid a quarantine is if you've had the vaccine. So you got the COVID protocols that way. But outside it seems like we're good to go. And so I'm not sure if the kids can do lock and rock. I sure hope they can. We're planning on doing the Red Hawk Walk and all that stuff.
Well, the tailgate's back. We know that. We've got the River Radio tailgate,
yeah.
so that's good news.
Good. No, that's what we need to do. We need to enjoy it. I mean, it's we need a little bit of release. That's the advantage of athletics. It kind of gives you 4 or 5 hours to escape your reality, And so, looking forward to it.
And it looks like the weatherman's going to be nice to us on Thursday.
Yeah, 83, and it's going to be beautiful.
6:30 kickoff against the Salukis. Man, and they're fired up in Carbondale for SIU, so we're going to have a big crowd from their side of the river. This should be a fun night.
No, exactly. It's everything it should be. A game versus 2 good football teams, close, war for the wheel. I mean, it's what it's all about.
Keys to you beating the Salukis Thursday?
I mean, the first game of the year, it's all about just you're playing to win, regardless of your opponent. The thing that I was really unable to fix all of last year, we kept losing to SEMO. We did a lot of stupid things. Winning's hard. It's really hard if you're stupid. And so we got to do better that way. I think it was just kind of a crazy year. There's a lot of emotions, but we can't have stupid penalties, all those type of things. We're always going to take care of the football, all those type of things. We're going to try to create takeaways. But the one thing from last year that we got to make sure that we grow from is just the unforced errors, the pre-snap penalties, post-snap penalties, all those type of things that we got to get off the film.
Can't wait to get it going Thursday night, kickoff with the Salukis. Can't wait for the weather forecast to be absolutely perfect. Tailgate, it's game day, baby. I can't wait for it.
No, it should be a great night.
Thanks so much for your time. We'll see you Thursday night, Coach. We appreciate it.
Sounds great.
That's Coach Tuke. That is going to do it for the Red Hawks Coaches Show from Wings Etc. We'll be right back here in this location in Cape Girardeau on next Monday at 12 noon. Stay tuned. We've got the Max Kellerman Show coming up next on ESPN Radio. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, everybody. So long from Wings Etc.
SEMO ESPN 12.